Welcome to MMO Grinder Sidequest, where I take a look at early open or closed betas, subscription trials, and simpler titles, giving you a quick first impression. Today I'll be looking at Tom Clancy's The Division, which recently had a special invite or pre-order beta that lets players help stress test the game's servers. The game takes place in a ruined New York City after a possible bioweapon attack killed off a massive portion of the city's population on Black Friday, leaving the city a post-apocalyptic wasteland with gangs and militants roaming the streets and terrorizing survivors. You're part of a Black Ops division assigned with assisting the Joint Task Force and help regain a foothold in the city. Short and simply to The Division, this is another upcoming Ubisoft title that will come with a required internet connection. But here, it's because the game is legitimately an MMO. I only played for the last day of the beta, but my co-writer Dresker had been hitting the beta hard for its entire length, and came away far more interested in picking the title up, even noting that it could be done as a special episode in the future. We want to say the game looks very good, and has a well-implemented day, night, and weather system within the game. With the winter setting of the game, you can help get some incredible snowstorms that also give a lot of fog to obscure your vision, and help lend that eeriness to a nearly abandoned New York City. They even put a lot of effort into the game's visual feedbacks to weapons fire, with weapons causing cracks in windows, walls crumbling from impact, or even the ridiculously intricate detail of leather couches actually rippling from bullet impacts. Currently, there isn't much to be said about music. It was all rather unnoticeable and really would just get drowned out in the game's excellent sound design. Weapons certainly sound incredibly satisfying and give you good feedback when you use them. There's that odd pet peeve where suppressed sniper rifles give that Hollywood psst noise, but other weapons give more realistic and louder suppressed sounds, like their real-world counterparts. Voice acting is a bit all over the place, with more than a few coming off as a "this is my first line" read, but there isn't anything outright terrible here, and they do the job correctly. Plenty seem to want to argue as to whether or not this counts as an MMO, but most of us agree it does. That reason being is that while the PvE mode is also your single-player mode, it does allow you to openly explore a large portion of the city, going on missions and even, for lack of a better term, dungeon runs, and it's easy enough to invite other players into your world for some co-op goodness. The gameplay itself follows your standard third-person cover-based shooter style, so don't expect too much groundbreaking in that department, but at least the gunplay is satisfying, making the overall experience feel better. The true bread and butter of the game will be the Dark Zone, a massive walled-off section of Manhattan where the virus outbreak and death toll was so extreme that it was completely sealed and declared a no-man's land. Within the Dark Zone, you're cut off from the normal Division operators, and you're set to a local access system, which can tie into the game's open PvP. Anyone, at any time, for any reason, can decide to kill you and get labeled as a rogue, which will make them a huge target, but this is a risk versus reward system, and a good way to get loot can simply be taking it from others. If you're to take out a rogue, you collect the bounty that was placed on their heads and any loot that they were carrying. But if you want to find your own loot, there are several crates and bosses that you can take on. But if you want to keep that loot, you'll have to risk extraction, a minute-and-a-half long event that'll spawn a helicopter and lets everyone in the zone know where you are, inviting others to get their gear out of Dodge, or the ne'er-do-wells hoping to take it as their own. Sadly, this open PvP is severely hampered by a rampant problem with hackers and exploiters that Ubisoft has sworn will be squashed before the game's March 8th release. What can be said is that The Division looks to be an interesting MMO shooter title, and we'll be keeping an eye on it in the future. This has been an MMO Grinder Sidequest, and it's time I logged out.